Here I am in West Scotland on a small road going from apparently nowhere to apparently nowhere else. I've been stalking the weather for days, and at the moment it's not actually raining, there's a tiny bit of wind, so I'm going to give it my best shot. As I walk down this road, the thing that occurs to me most of all is what is not there. No telephone or electric cables, other than normal paraphernalia of modern life, just the old road. And in fact, there are not even any hedges or walls or fences, just completely unfenced land. It's good to know there are places like this that you can still go. The electrical energy in the area is so low, it's amazing. Real gift. So I'm going to make a film about one or two things, see what comes up. Before I start, I just want to show you the environment. And there's an exceptional sky today because there are actually a few tiny areas of blue. There's not been many of those at all since I arrived. And this is where I've been staying. So I'll take you on a walk to the yurt that I'm staying in tonight. It's got a bender porch. That's made out of clear polythene, which is incredibly handy. Just give you a space that's light. Solid door. Hello everyone, I'm going to call this one Shamanism and implications for the future. What I want to do now is to take the opportunity to speak in a way which I've not chosen to do so before, because it wasn't quite the right time. However, here we are, we're at the end of July 2012, and this is what I want to say. Through practicing shamanism, through training with shamans, what you get the opportunity to do on a fundamental level is to broaden your perception basis in terms of what's possible. And what I want to say is that most people that I know, and I definitely include myself in this up until a certain point in my development, what most people do is most people automatically and unconsciously create limitations for themselves. And if you start to become really aware of language, and you go to places where people have a drink, for example, and you just sit down and listen, really listen to what people are saying, and you will notice that time after time what people do effectively is they unconsciously curse themselves. And they do this by saying, well, I couldn't, or I can't, or I wouldn't. And with these negative preambles, they go on to give you a detailed exposition of exactly what limiting belief systems they are attached to. One of the most limiting belief systems you can be attached to is the one which is simply called I am unwell. Now that's a very powerful one, as you can imagine, if you think about the implications of that. So what I'm drawing you towards is that shamanism is just one of many paths that can take you to the place in your conscious awareness development when you start to realize that by your words that you talk to yourself when there's nobody about, or perhaps in the case of the people sitting in the pub and talking to other people, the words that you can talk about yourself to other people are actually creating limitations. And what shamanism is all about is it's about the exact antidote to this, because what you've been doing through transinduction, through journeying, and through all that can go from there onwards in terms of like universal soul retrieval training, just imagine how people's limitations get blasted apart, because one of the things that they get to do on the universal soul retrieval training, they get to travel not only outside this planet but outside this galaxy. Now most people have been brought up to believe that the speed of light, which is 186,000 miles a second, means that with our third dimensional technology building an actual physical spaceship, we're very limited, and we couldn't even travel to the nearest star because it would take so many years. Well, yes, if you're limiting yourself to the principle of wanting to build yourself a material spaceship, that may be true. I'm not going to say it is, but it may be true. However, when you let go of the limitation of taking a physical body with you, then suddenly you realise you can travel absolutely anywhere and anywhen. And this is a really important point about all shamanic training. When you're doing healing work for your clients, you're travelling in space and time. These are big sacred cows which are being slaughtered through your practice, because it doesn't matter what anyone says, you know that you travel in space and time because you travelled this particular client's lost soul part, and you found yourself in this particular place, in this particular time. You did the work, you dialogued with the soul part, you brought the soul part back. These are all things which third dimensional experience teaches you are impossible. We can be in two places at once, we can travel in space, we can travel in time, and at the moment this is conditional upon us making the deal, and the deal has been with shamans that we leave our body behind. However, there are exceptional cases where people have actually taken their body with them in two places. An example I love to give is one of a shaman who has completed his training at the hands of his master. He'd done all his apprenticeship, and to celebrate the apprenticeship they had a big party. And the thing that's relevant to mention is this party took place in the garden of the house, and in the edge of the garden there was a river. And at a critical point in the party, the shaman and the teacher are together, and the teacher pushes his trainee in the river. Now this is old school shamanism, in terms of old school shamanic initiation. Shamanic initiations in the modern times are perhaps a little bit gentler and fluffier than that, but that was old school style. Throw him in the river, see what he does. He's either going to live or he's going to die. So this particular person found themselves fully trained shaman in the water, and he was fighting for his life because the current in the river was so strong. And the next thing he noticed, he was also running on the riverbank at the same time as fighting for his life. And what happened is he survived because the two met. The one that was on the riverbank managed to save the one that was in the river, and he survived his shamanic initiation. So that's just an example of how there are so many different ways we can experience doing impossible things. So this is where we're all headed. We're all headed for the place of becoming fully free. And I want to identify two things. I've spoken a little bit of length about one of them. One of them is letting go of the old belief systems that are limiting us, and to become aware of more and more things that we can do. And the essence about limiting belief systems is this: every moment represents a new possibility. Every moment. Which means that we can actually be, in this moment right now, something different from what we've ever been before. And this gives us great possibility. Now, so long as we're focused upon the past and the future, if our thoughts are past and the future focused, we are limited by that. But once we come into the present moment, then that gives us the freedom to act in a way we might not think of. So the ultimate example is if you think about a person with a chronic illness. It's such a funny thing, because that chronic illness is being repetitively recreated moment by moment, and it's because the person is still in some way hooked into the past. And imagine you've got a chronic illness that's been going on for decades. Imagine how hard it is for that person, because they're bringing that memory of all their past moments of illness with them into the present and consistently recreating that. So this is why people say with real truth that it's possible to cure an illness in a moment, just like that. An illness can be cured. And what it takes that complete letting go of all the past memories, the past fixed beliefs, and then new things are possible. So here's the next one I want to bring in. It's about conflict. Now, most people don't like conflict, and it's understandable because conflict is painful. And here's the rub. The rub is conflict is part of the twofold process. We all experience universal, unconditional love as multidimensional travellers in the other realms before we got born into this planet. Right here, right now on this planet, we have had the experience of limitation, we've had the experience of not love. And through being not loved, through perhaps even experiencing love turning on itself, which is hatred, we then get to grips with the essence of what love is. And so the first part of this twofold process is the conflict part. That's where we judge ourselves, hate other people. That's the first part, the conflict part. Then we have arguments with ourselves and with other people. And in terms of alchemy, this is the first part. This is called solve, and this is where things are literally being broken down, dissolved, dissolution. So that's the first process in alchemy. So solve, that's the first process. The second process is coagula. So the whole phrase is solve et coagula. So what we're in now in 2012, we're into the opportunity to let go, to resolve, to release all conflict with all beings. And that's why it's so much part of the work that I'm doing with clients with Universal Soul Retrieval and UGR. It's all about releasing the old reasons for the conflicts, letting go of the old conflicts, and then reaching the place where we can move into love. Now, how challenging a thing it would be to be having someone still hating you and still in conflict against you, still in hostility against you. What an opportunity, because then that means you can, in the face of that, embrace love and keep on sending them the love, sending them the love, sending them the love. What a powerful state. So in a sense, if you've got an enemy at this time, rejoice, be thankful you've got someone that is pissed off by you, that is angry with you, because they're giving this golden opportunity to really embrace sending them the love. You don't have to see them, you don't have to be with them. They may be thousands of miles away, doesn't matter at all. You can keep sending them the love, sending them the love, sending them the love. And then you are in the final process of that alchemical phase, the coagula. That's when we realise that we are all one. This is the hilarious thing about wanting to hurt another person, desires for revenge and all the rest of it. What an illusion, what a grand illusion that is. Because actually if we're all one, and we desire to hurt another, we're only really designed to hurt ourselves, strip it all away, it's back to self-hatred again. which is why one of the biggest, most powerful things you can do as a human being is to forgive yourself and move into universal unconditional love, starting with yourself. So if you think about illness, you think about pain and torment, that's the sign that the person hasn't reached that point quite yet. And for everyone around them, we just need to be patient and to allow them to do their own journey in their own time. And if they want to come to us and have a conversation, then we can help them if they want that. And if they don't, we leave them alone to their process, knowing that they're going to get there in their own time. So my feeling about 2012 is the resolution of the conflicts with all the human beings, and the first thing is you get it all out there, which is why there's still the wars going on, the conflicts are being externalized. Eventually the futility of it all occurs to those involved, and there's more and more exciting things happening like this. Think of Syria at the moment. Think of the number of Syrians who were soldiers on the side of the dictatorship, and many of them are looking at what is being done, and they're leaving the army, they're deserting, and they're joining the side of the so-called rebels, the ones who are the people that are saying it's time for us to take our freedom. What an exciting time to be alive when soldiers are literally leaving the forces of oppression in droves and signing up to work for no doubt nothing and support their comrades in their quest for independence. So we're such an interesting time at the moment that we're alive. So we've got these two things going on: letting go of our old limiting belief systems, the can'ts, the should, the must, the have to, letting go of all those. And so I want to remind you of the rubber band effect. This is so useful. If there's something you feel like you should do and you can't be bothered to do it, when at all possible, enjoy and linger in that state of I can't be bothered to do it, knowing that that time will come when you then feel inspired to do it. For those people that have to get up and pay the mortgage, then that's an extra challenge because they can't simply do that. If you've got to get up and pay the mortgage, you've got to get up and pay the mortgage. And in every other way of your life where you have that freedom, do you say to yourself, do I have to? Is it necessary? Must I do that? Whenever possible, really check that out. And if you don't really have to, then give in to that indolence if that's what you really feel. Allow the impulse to come to want to do something. So my conclusion about this time, I want to give great gratitude to Lucy for allowing me to stay in her yurt last night, for having the opportunity to film in her wonderful conservatory porch just outside her yurt, enjoying the weather. Present moment. You've heard it from Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now book, and every other source you've come across. If you found yourself in a state of torment, just get back to the present moment. And that's one of the surefire ways to bring yourself into alignment with who you really are. And if who you really are is dealing with a lot of pain and discomfort and dis-ease at the moment, then get even more in touch with the present moment and focus less inward on yourself and more outward in your environment. And if all there is one plant on your window box to look at and to enjoy, go for it. I had such pleasure recently. I was just staring out at the other side of the courtyard in this community where I'm staying up in Scotland, and there was not a breath of wind in the air, and all the trees were completely still, with one exception, one single ash tree. The leaves were waving about, crossing backwards and forwards. It's like they were dancing. And it was such a display, and it's like I could have gone within my rational mind into, well, how is that one moving and none of the others are? And I went there for a few minutes and I thought, hey, yeah, I could look at that. I could spend the next 2 hours having a discussion with myself about why they're moving. But the important point is these ash leaves are moving, and I don't understand it, and it's a mystery, and life's a mystery, and it's fun, and I'm enjoying it. And I was just enjoying that present moment. The other thing about where I am here, which is a really good present moment inducer, is at any moment the sun goes in, the clouds come over, and it starts raining or pouring down or pelting down. Then minutes later, when you think it's settled in for the afternoon, it stops, the clouds pass, and out comes the sun. It does this over and over and over again. Anywhere in the world where that happens, that's again another way of just bringing you into that right here, right now, going with what's happening. Does it matter? Doesn't it matter? And so I want to end with one of the quotes from a brother shaman friend of mine, Robert. It's amazing how many times you can say to yourself, it doesn't matter. And when you really stop to think about it, you realise, well, most of the time, as long as you're taking care of the essentials, it doesn't, does it? So you are on your process of unfoldment, you're in your process of liberation, whatever you're going through. So celebrate that. And thank you for taking the time and the patience to bother to watch the films. And why don't you just get outside and enjoy some nature? This is the gravestone that Charles made for his wife after she died. And of course the bizarre piece of machinery, you can then speculate what it does. I do like that. This is the ash tree that I was watching, the movement in the branches. Such a beautiful sight. Hello there. Well, this is a sound to gladden the heart of any traveller. Yes, it's a river. And yes, I'm going in. Well, I've just emerged from the river, dried myself off, got my clothes on and stepped back out onto the road. And as always, I have this amazing feeling of renewal. It's like if you're not feeling too good, one of the very best things you can do is stop what you're doing and go and find the river somewhere. Take a towel, take a flannel, get your clothes off, get yourself in that river. Doesn't matter for how long, even just enough time to completely immerse yourself in the water is enough. That'll do it. And then get out, dry yourself off with the flannel, rubbing your skin quite firmly. And that's incredibly good for the lymphatic system, really powerful cleansing detox in its own right. And just be aware of how wonderful you feel. Put your clothes on and just feel cleansed by the power of water. And this particular water I've been in is quite special. When you actually get really close to the river and look at the water, it actually looks black. And it's only when I put my body into the water and I say I lift my foot up and I look at it in the water and I can see it's a dark orange colour, so there must be a lot of iron in this water, I imagine, because of the orange colour. It's usually what it is. It just doesn't really matter. what kind of water it is. It's just so wonderfully cleansing. You can see there are some little examples of pollution, so this is not a completely pristine water. I'd like to tell you what it is, but it isn't actually. You can see little scraps of foam there which indicate there must be some pollution in there, but no matter, such a powerful experience. So I'm just very, very grateful to have this experience of 11 days up in Scotland, in a place which is so away from the busyness of so much of life. It's been a real privilege and an honour to have spent some time here. Got to know the nature, got to know a few people. So thank you to this part of Scotland for the gift you give me.